Hey guys, good evening. I can't sleep, so I will make a quick tutorial. Today I saw this incredible effect by Pixelmondo on this movie, and I thought, well, not making this, of course, and this is really cool stuff and complex, but let's just talk a little bit of how we could make some mesh following a surface inside TP, and discuss some ideas. And so let's start the tutorial. So I made something, let me just play the preview. I made just put on the right screen. So I made just a quick animation, like 5 minutes, just to have an animated mesh, and then I made a particle system following a surface, and then I meshed it up. And now I'm going to share with you how I've made it, and it will be different because I will make it from scratch, and you will see how I think, and this can be interesting to you. Okay, so let's start. First I create over here create some groups over here also. So let's start with the concept. Okay, as always, I use inactive and active groups, and then the trails, something that I use a lot. And I will scatter some points on the animated surface over here. So just put, and really going to use the black box again, generator, node surface, and then this way it's faster, and I just pick the surface, so just unfreeze it, sorry, and that's it. We've created particles on the surface, but it's not following the surface. So let's disable the standard shape, so we just see dots over here, dots, cool. And I'm going to make this inactive, so the inactive will be with a dark color. I tend to use dark colors in the inactive particles. Okay, cool. Then we have to make this rule. So here, rename create, and then create the rules to follow the surface. So follow surface. Okay, so let's start it. Groups inactive. Let's establish a position over here, and then the surface from a node. So basically I'm forcing this creation, these particles that I'm creating, I'm forcing them to follow this animated surface, but I have to connect over here, so it reads, frame by frame. So let me just check it, inactive, position, surface, and then I have to choose the node, of course. Cool. So now it's working, but as you can see, they are following the vertices of the surface. I want to follow the face. Okay, so that's it. We've created the first. Let me just put on the perspective and not on the camera. And okay, as you can see, we have some dark points, dark particles following the animated surface. Cool. So the first rule is done. Now I have to say I want some particles to become active, and I can do it randomly, or I can do based on the position of an object, for instance. So let's do it based on the position of an object, so we can have full control on how we want them to become active. So let's create a sphere over here, sphere here, and I will say that based on the distance of the sphere from the particles, they become active. So change group, or we can put become active, something like that. So inactive based on the distance of a node. So, and I have to pick the nodes here. The inactive will change to active. Let me just change here the color from active to red. And here group. Cool. So the inactive go to the active group based on the distance of these two things that we are making here, so a node and the particles. Cool. So now I'm going to put in real time here, edit on the fly, so we can change the distance and see what's happening here. So if I move here, you will see the particles becoming active. So simple way of changing groups. Let's make 25, and that's it. So as you can see, when we change the group, the particles are they are not following anymore the geometry because they are not from the inactive, so they don't have any rule established right now. So we have to make them, of course, going up and follow the surface. So here I'm going to put active or dynamics active, for instance. Okay, and here active, I will say I want to add a velocity. Cool. So I want them I will say I want them to go random. So I will put a variation angle of 180, and I will put 25 variation. And as you can see, they are moving randomly, but I want them to move and follow the surface. So I have to use follow surface, SurfaceFollow, sorry. Here, oops. Sorry, not okay. Sorry, that is I was creating here. Sorry, SurfaceFollow, and I need to know which surface I am following. So just pick it over here and make it over here. SurfaceFollow with some speed, like 50, and let's see what happens. Cool. So now the active particles are going in random directions. We could make it just going up, but let's make it like this. Then you can try it at home with your own settings, just sharing the idea, the basic idea. Cool. So now how can we see the trajectory? And how can we understand how the particles are moving? It's easy, we just make a trail. I'm going to change the trail color to green. Cool. And I'm going to make a TrailBorn over here. So the TrailBorn will make a particle born. For each active particle, it will born one. And based on this distance, and I have to say it's going to trail for distance 1, and with a max length. If I don't change the max length, you will see that the particles will die when they reach this distance. So you can put a large value and they will not end. So now we can see the path of the active particles, so we can see the trajectory, but as you can see, they are not following the surface, so we have to establish. So I will create here another massive dynamic, so trail dim dynamics trail. So sorry, I'm kind of sleepy, let me just save this. Okay, so the trails will also, so group, oh, sorry, not this one, sorry, groups, trail. Again, I will copy this SurfaceFollow, copy and paste it over here and just connect it over here, but this time I will give a speed of 0. So they will follow the surface, but with a speed of 0. Cool? Really cool stuff. Everything in real time. So if you want a little bit more detail on the path, you just come here on the TrailBorn and let's make the distance 0.5, and even if you want 0.2, but then again it will be a little bit more slower the more points you have. But for now, let's keep it at 0.4, okay? Cool. So, as you can see, they are following the surface, but we can make a little bit more interesting movement. So here we can add this operator, that is the BubbleMotion. Okay, be very careful when adding this because as you can see, if I play it now, it will be really not correct because thinkingParticles reads from top to bottom. So the BubbleMotion cannot be below the SurfaceFollow, it has to be above. So because he will add the velocity, then it will add the BubbleMotion, so it's like kind of zigzag motion, and then it will try to follow the surface. So if we put the BubbleMotion below, it will be a mess. So cool. So as you can see, now it's making the BubbleMotion, but with a really small amplitude. So let's tweak the values, and it's in real time. I'm just going to say because sometimes when we have complex systems, it crashes 3D Studio Max. If we are editing, so if we are seeing everything in real time and updating. So let's start tweaking the values of BubbleMotion. So I think maybe 30. Variation, we can add some variation like 40%, and here also some 25 variation. Cool. So now we can see we have the BubbleMotion, and it's more organic stuff. And if you want, we can add more particles. So let me just go to the original and put like 400 particles. And now we can see it's a little bit slower, but well, it's pretty cool. Okay, so we have our kind of veins growing up and so on. But for the sake of this tutorial, let's keep it 100. And let's make like the video, the reference video. We can see over here that they have this kind of over here more veiny stuff. So of course let's think that in each of this trail we should have some more active particles coming. We have many ways of doing it. I'm doing the easiest way, and I'm lazy and I'm sleepy. So I will say that randomly to pick up one of these particles and put them to the active one. We could make like for each random born another particle going in a specific direction, so we have a more structural veins. But for this tutorial I'm just sharing ideas. Let's make it like that, okay? So for each, let's create here the rule. So let's create a random number for each particle, okay? and we have to check it here animation, so it will give a random number for each trail particle from 0 to 100, and then we make a condition like a threshold. So like let's say 10% of the particles go to the active group, so it's like this. We are saying the trail to change to the active group, but only 10% of them. Okay, so let's see now what happens. So you see here that the trail is 10% of them are becoming active, and now we have a more veiny stuff, or more, I don't know how can I call this, but I think you understand it. So, but you see, it's a little bit, it becomes slower because it's not only 10% of the initial particles, because they are coming out and they are creating more trails, and then 10% of these new trails are coming active, becoming active, and so on. So for this tutorial, let's make 2%, okay? And I think it will be in real time also. Yeah, okay, cool. And maybe we can, sorry, I lost TP. Oh, let me find it again. I'm really sleepy. Okay, it's in the other screen. Okay, that's it. So let's make 3%, so we have more vein stuff. Okay, cool. So let's just make a quick preview over here. Or not needed, you get the picture. And imagine you want the active particles over here. We can easily create like this 4 spheres, or here 1. Oh, now I will turn off the update in real time of thinking particles, so I can create here a sphere, another one, and another one. So now on the change group rules, I will copy this stuff. Really cool. It's procedural thinking. Cool. And I will just have to pick up this sphere over here, pick up this sphere over here, and this sphere over here. So now they will become the inactive particles that are near this sphere. This one and this one and this one will become active. So now you can see on the hands also it's happening, on the head. Maybe now I can even animate the spheres. So let me just yeah, now it's becoming a little bit slower because we have a lot of particles on the hands, but I can animate the spheres a little bit down, a little bit to the left, a little bit here to the left, and a little bit up. Okay, cool. So now let me just to be in real time, I will change the percentage to 1% of the trail. So this way I think it will be in real time. And then you can see, okay, they are becoming active on this end, on this hand, on the head. Yeah, cool. And that's it. Now, as you can see, if I make a lot more particles, like 500 particles over here, you will see TP is really cool stuff. Okay, so let me just make a quick preview of this. Let me just hide these spheres, make a preview. Let me just save the stuff, preview, And cool, a cool way of sharing some ideas with you, and that's it. Of course, now you can play with the values. Oh, let me just, sorry, the video is on the other side of the screen. Cool. We have some veins growing, and we can play around with all the values from BubbleMotion, the velocity, the quantity of the particles, and so on. So to finish up this tutorial, we can just make the meshing. Okay, so let's make a quick mesh, and then we could export, but in Alembic, but it's not needed. So let's just mesh it up, and here I just want to mesh the active and the trail. So meshing, I'm going to put here active and trail, and here I will call the meshing group, and on the operators, ImplicitShape, and that's it. Let's see the green stuff appearing. Let me just check it. Okay, really cool. So of course these are the standard values. So let's just make a preview with this green stuff. Gigantic, really cool. Okay, so this blob, but of course I'm just going to tweak the values just for fun, and this can give you some cool ideas. I don't know, something that you will do in the future. Okay, let's see how it goes. Yeah, really cool. But of course, if we tweak the values, so like let's say using this, now I will turn the real-time updating, so 0.25. Maybe I will, for tweaking a little bit faster, I will make a little bit less particles. This is how you should do it, like 100 particles. It's much faster, the updating. So now, and maybe I can go to frame 30, so it will be even faster. And then I can check it. Let me just check the size. Okay, this is very important. When you are meshing, if you have 80 variation, 80%, the ImplicitShape will try to respect that. So we have 5, and then we have little particles. So let's make it 0. And now when we are meshing with ImplicitShape, let's see, yeah, it's much more like we want. Then we can smooth things up, and of course this is the time to do some tweakings until you are happy with the result. So let's just check. I think it's okay for now. I will make a final preview. I will disconnect the dots, turn off, and I'm just putting more particles, like 1000 particles. Let me just turn this off and file, save it, and make a final preview in the camera. Okay, maybe I can put the camera over here and preview it. And that's it, guys. Just sharing some cool, interesting ideas with you. Hope you like it. This is not a production series tutorial that because I just saw this video today, and I was not I didn't want to go to sleep, and I thought, well, let me make some quick tutorial and share with you, with the community. And okay, let's just see the final result. and I hope this can be useful to you. And that's okay, 100% cool. So we have here some interesting ideas on how to make some interesting effects using TP. So see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.